Welcome back to The Cinnamon Effect. I'm Kimberly Hand, and today it's me. I'm solo on the mic. Love being with you guys and just kind of spilling what's going on in my life. Hey there, and welcome to the Cinnamon Effect podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Hand, and I'm thrilled to have you with me on this vibrant journey of discovery and growth. This podcast is your go-to space for embracing intention, where you'll find clarity on your unique path, deepen those meaningful connections, and unleash your creativity like never before. We'll explore how to build unshakable confidence and celebrate the beauty of gratitude, all while savoring the calm that consistency brings to our lives. Thank you for being with me. Let's sprinkle a little cinnamon into your day and make life sweeter, healthier, and more fulfilling. I just recorded an episode 104, which was the commemoration of 2 years of podcasting. So episode 104. And I talked about being in my yes era. And that I'm saying yes to opportunities and I'm doing things and I'm, if it feels good, I'm going after it and doing it because at some point people are going to stop calling, hopefully not, but you've got to think that when things come across your desk, that if it's something that aligns with what you love and who you are, that you should just give it a shot. It's so easy to say no. There's so much going on, but I'm in my yes era and I am saying yes to things. So in episode 104, I talk about this. And I also tell you guys that I had planned on doing my Miami Dolphins cheerleader alumni weekend. So I have just done that last weekend, or was it the weekend before? God, time flies. It was like last weekend. And I wanted to recap that experience because I'm so glad that I did it. Here I was kind of evaluating, should I do it? Once I signed up for it, I was like, oh gosh, you always have that like feeling of maybe I shouldn't have said yes to that, right? Sometimes you have that. And I definitely had that because I knew it was going to be rehearsals and it was going to take a big chunk of my time. It was going to take the whole weekend. Even leading up to that, it was going to require time. I had to find, they wanted us to wear white bottoms and white tennis shoes. So of course I wanted to get perfectly white tennis shoes that I'd never worn before. And I ended up getting like a white tennis skirt to wear. And I'll like recap that for you. But so I kind of went through this whole like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to do it now. And once I got into it and did the whole weekend, it was an amazing experience. I'm going to tell you all about that. But what I learned was that they only do these alumni weekends every 4 years. Here I was kind of just out of the loop because I did one 10 years ago and I was actually pregnant with my son. He was in my belly. I was really sick. And, but I was thinking like, how many have I missed? Because I was living in Utah. So I missed one, then, but they only happen every 4 years. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so glad after the fact that I said yes, because I would have been really sad to miss that and not had the opportunity to do it for 4 more years. Right. So we had, of course, like this happens to me a lot. I don't know why, but there was a disconnect in the communication. I was not getting the emails for the alumni weekend. So I like sign up. I don't really hear anything. And I heard later that they had emailed the choreography that we were supposed to learn. So we were learning choreography to dance in the pregame show of the Miami Dolphins versus Chargers football game. So I'm like, oh, wait a second. This is weird. Like I did sign up late. I was probably one of the last people to sign up, but I'm like, oh my God, I didn't get the choreography email. So immediately I start to spiral a little bit like, oh my God, everyone's had so much more time to learn this than I have. I'm just getting it right now. I started to get in my head because when I was a dancer, choreography and learning choreography was not my strong point. I don't know, and especially not now that I'm like 17 years older than I was when I cheered for the Dolphins. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, is my mind going to be able to keep up with all this choreography? I get the choreography. My husband, who we were dating and actually became newly engaged when I was cheering, he was always my like rock and my support system during that time. So of course he springs into like dance dad mode and he's like, you've got to practice and like do all this stuff. And I'm like, whoa. You need to pipe down because I have got this under control and I'm going to learn this the way I know how and the way I always did. But it was just funny to see him it took him back to those moments of like wanting to support me and kind of also push me a little bit, which I need sometimes. And then here's my son who has never seen me in this capacity being like, Mom, oh my gosh, let's practice again. And you should practice one more time before you go to bed, which I absolutely love that. Like the night before, he was like, you need to practice one more time. And I'm like, David, I've been on the field in the hot sun practicing for like 3 hours already. Like I feel good about it. Like I don't need to cram. Like I've got this. But it was so cute to see him being like wanting to support me also and make sure that I did a good job. Just like I try to make sure that he's doing his best, at all times. So I like loved seeing that side of him and how he reacted to me doing this. So I got the choreography. I'm like learning it in my kitchen, and totally brings me back to this whole time frame of my life. And the way I operate when I'm learning something like that is I have to like put the outfit on that I'm going to wear. I need to wear the exact sneakers I'm going to wear. Like it all gets into my body and it all gets into that muscle memory. And that's what's always helped me. So in fact, when I was, I didn't have pom-poms and I didn't have them this time to practice, but I would put something in my hands. Like when I used to cheer for the Dolphins, I would practice with markers in my hands and I would wrap them up with a piece of tape because it felt like the width of the actual pom-poms that I was going to be using. And so that's what I did. Funny, I know it's probably you're like, what? But that's what I did. So this time I just, put something in my hands, like had, something that I could hold on to because believe it or not, like when I would get on the field, sometimes it would throw me off just a little bit if I had not practiced with something in my hands because you've got these pom-poms. So anyway, so we had a rehearsal on the field of this like prep school down south. And it was 12 to 3, really hot, during the day. So it brings you back to those moments of like actually cheering on a football field. And it's no joke. It is hot. And there was 180 former Miami Dolphins cheerleaders from the 1960s all the way to the 2010s. I absolutely loved seeing the women that are like in their 70s. I think the oldest one that I met was 76, but I can imagine there were probably more that were older as well. And just to see these women is such an inspiration. And I feel like I talked about this in episode 104 that, seeing people still going after those things and pushing themselves outside of their comfort zone when they don't have to. They could just be home resting, watching TV. But to see these women is such an inspiration to me because I really want to be that way and I really want to live my life that way going forward. I also want to show my son that quality of like going after something that you really want to do, having fun with it, but seeing these women was really inspirational. Also, watching them do this 3-hour practice in the hot sun because nobody was like, oh, hey, you guys are, a little older. Like, why don't you go inside and take a break? No, everybody was out there. We were all dancing together. We were like coming in and out off the field. So like different groups. So it was like the cheerleaders from the 1960s, 70s, and 80s were a group. The 90s and 2000s, which that's what I was in because I cheered in 2008, 90s and 2000s, and then the 2010s and beyond were a group. So you kind of got in with your group and then we each kind of cycled through and then we did something all together as a part of the pregame. And it was so much fun. Like after being even at the practice, I just had a blast. And it was like, I felt like it's so funny because I see those Instagram videos of, you've probably seen them where people are doing Thunderstruck that the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders do. And you'll see people just doing it for fun on social media. And like the meme is like, I'm totally a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader because I can do this routine. Well, I felt like, oh my God, I could take the field tomorrow and like cheer the whole season. I just was so like jacked up on the excitement, and I had so much fun, even just during the practice. So it really took me back. And it's been 17 years since I cheered, which does not even feel, in so many respects, it feels like it was yesterday. It feels like a lifetime ago in certain ways, but a lot of the feeling I got was that it felt like it was just yesterday, and I could have done it, again. So there was a group of my friends with their kids, and so friends of my son that ended up coming down, my mom and my mother-in-law. And so it was a lot of fun to kind of relive, what I used to do for a whole year. And it was really special because it was my son's first NFL game, and his little buddies coming down there, they were like kind of, I don't think knew what to expect. And they were just so funny because when I got off the field, they were like, Mrs. Hand, you did so good. And then they were like, are you going to do this every weekend? That was another question I got. Are you going to do this every weekend? And my husband was just joking. He's like, yeah, she signed up. She's doing it. And they were like, what? So it's just so cute. I saw the moment when I actually took the field. So we're like in the tunnel waiting it out, and I came out from the tunnel and I looked because I knew what section they were in, and I looked up and I saw them. I could tell they saw me. I could tell my son didn't see me right away. And then I was waving my pom-poms and waving my hands. And I saw the moment where he was like, oh my God, that's my mom. And I could tell just this excitement from him. And I mean, I could cry talking about it because it was just like a very special moment for me and for him. And when I came off the field, he was just like, oh my God, Mom, you did so good. Like I could tell just like a little pride, from him. And I feel like that's a really important note, is that it's so fun for your kids to see you doing something so out of the box and so different than in which way they know you. Like he knows me as mom, and mom makes dinner, and mom does all these things around the house, and but to have your child see you in this different light, I could tell was so interesting to him, and it was really special for me. And I think if you have the opportunity to show your kids you doing something that is scary, that is hard, that takes determination and dedication. And he saw me practicing at home. And to see me doing all of that, I think is, gosh, it's just worth so much in their eyes. And I was just very proud. I was actually proud of myself that I said yes. And I was proud of myself that I could show my son this very, very special experience. So if you guys can do that in any way, even if it's like, your husband used to play soccer and he's going to go out there and play a soccer game or whatever. I mean, just whatever it is, I just think it's really important. It's like when kids go to school, or not go to school, but they go to work with their parents, take your kid to work day, and your kid gets to see you in a different capacity. I think that's really, really special and important. So I really loved that. As far as interacting with the other women and the other cheerleaders, it was really amazing to be in a room with a bunch of women that knew the experience that you had lived. And you can't always say that about everything in every experience that you have, that it's a shared experience that people actually understand. And even things that I felt, that I thought maybe I was the only one that had experienced that. Just in talking to some of these ladies, they were like, oh, that happened to me. Or, I auditioned multiple times, and, I did as well. And so, in having that kind of failure of not making the team, and having made it and then not making the team. And I felt like maybe at the time I was the only one that had experienced that. And no, it was like meeting some new women and hearing their experiences. They had experienced the exact same thing. And so you realize I'm not alone and I dealt with this. And actually to hear a couple of women talk about how it took them time to kind of get over the experience of being a Miami Dolphins cheerleader. And I really felt that. I felt like that's how I handled it too. It's life altering. And so when you come out of that, what does that feel like afterward? I would say there's some sadness. There's some pride in look what I did. There's, a lot of people have a lot of questions for you. And so it was really reflective to me to recap that experience and to also see that a lot of these women, I could see it, I could feel it. I know that I am that woman where it's so ingrained in you to be perfect at all times. And so I saw that where we were all touching up our makeup and making sure our hair was perfect. And we're going to get out on the field. It's going to be 100 degrees and we're going to sweat our butts off. But like, you still want to go into it looking your absolute best, right? So even down to the outfit that I was wearing, we had, everyone had the same top, which was provided by the Miami Dolphins. And we had to wear whatever kind of bottom we wanted to wear, but it had to be white and then white sneakers. And so even just choosing like the tennis skirt I was going to wear was like, this tennis skirt has to be perfect. And and I actually bought two, which is totally my style so that I could switch last minute if I wanted to, And so all the things that go into it, I got the spray tan. I did all the things. And let me just tell you, I was really glad I got the spray tan. When in doubt, get the spray tan. Okay. Because yes, they can be, uncomfortable to wear. Sometimes it feels thick on your skin. They smell a little bit when you put them on, but like it boosted my confidence to feel like, okay, my body looks good. I look tan. It was like a mental thing for me. So when in doubt, get the spray tan. If you're going on a beach vacation, get the spray tan. That is my cheerleader tip for you today. But having that perfectionism was definitely very apparent at the alumni weekend. I would say in a good way, where I could just feel, that we all wanted to uphold this beautiful tradition and be a part of something amazing and do our absolute best at it. And so it was really special. It was really special. I say perfectionism in more of like a positive light. And to also think that we did this experience to have fun and that in my eyes, I'm thinking, I don't want to be as hard on myself as I know I was 17 years ago. I was very hard on myself. There was no mistakes allowed. It was like, yes, you're going to be perfect and you are going to execute everything perfectly. And so I wanted to let loose a little bit more this time and just enjoy the experience. And I really feel like I achieved that. And so that was a big win for me where I felt like I did this. I went into it. I felt prepared. I practiced. I felt good going into it and that I did execute it, but I also was able to have a lot of fun. I saw my family and my friends in the in the stands and like they were waving and like so happy for me. I could just see that. And obviously the experience with my son and it was funny to hear my husband kind of recapping on that as well, because he was there 17 years ago when I was going through these auditions and cheering for the first time and what an experience that was. I don't know that he would want to relive that. I think I talked about that on, I did do an episode about being a Miami Dolphins cheerleader, like way back. And so go listen to that one if you haven't. But I don't know that he would want to relive that, but he definitely was supportive and was like, yeah, you should absolutely do this alumni weekend. So When in doubt, say yes, do the experience. You won't regret it, and you'll have a great time. You'll connect with people that knew you in a different time and place. And I think that's really special. So I feel like if there's something that you were involved in when you were younger, that you should circle back to that, reconnect with those people. Go to the reunion, go to the high school reunion, the college reunion, do those things. I think they are so important. They're milestones. There's something to be regarded and celebrated. And I really do believe that. And I believe that adds so much fulfillment and richness to our lives, is to reconnect with those people. And I know there's some people that are just like, oh, I would never go to the reunion. I would never do those kinds of things. I say absolutely do it. Great experience. And in fact, there is an NFL-wide anybody who was an NFL cheerleader. So for any team, there is a reunion in July, and I had already signed up to do that. And it's in Miami. It's actually in a different place every year. Actually, I don't know if it's every year, every 2 years maybe, but this year it's in Miami. So I'm planning on going to that. And my friend Tony just reached out to me. She was a Philadelphia Eagles cheerleader, and she was like, let's go together. And I was like, oh my God, how much fun. Like, this is so much fun. We're definitely going to do it. Also, a reflection on this whole experience was the highs and lows of the experience. And there are highs, there are lows, there are negative things that happen to you during such a life-altering experience, but nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can take the fact that I did this away from me. And so these are the things like money can't buy. Like that experience, money cannot buy that experience. And so just reflecting on those highs and lows of the whole thing, I really came away just so grateful that I did it, and so grateful for the lessons I've learned and how much growth I've had over the years. 17 years, I feel like a different person. And I handled the experience way better. Like, I wish I could have maybe backtracked and, knowing what I know now, lived out that experience but you can't do that. There's no retake in life. But that was kind of my takeaway was, and just being grateful for those highs and lows of the whole experience. So Miami Dolphin cheerleader alumni weekend. So thankful that I did it. So thankful that I met the women that I met when I was there. I met some really nice people. And so I'm just so grateful. Moving on to the next big thing that's happening in my life is I'm moving. Oh my gosh, I'm moving. And this is something that, we had been talking about moving, and what would it look like if we sold our house? Where would we go? What would we want? And we kind of started this exercise with each other, my husband and I, about 6 months ago. And my son was very resistant to moving. He did not want to move. Every time we would talk about it or bring it up, he would burst into tears. He didn't want to do it. So my initial reaction is, let's not do it. I don't want to upset him. Let's not do it. But that you can't just stay stuck and we started to feel maybe a little stuck. And I am so sensitive to my environment that I just felt like it is time. It is time to get this ball rolling. And so I feel like when I choose to do anything, it's like I start talking about it. I start speaking it out loud. I start thinking about it. I start envisioning what is this choice going to look like? What is this decision going to be like? And I really kind of dissect this. And that's when I think the more clear I can get, the more the universe starts to provide exactly what I'm looking for. And so I also put out there that I always want flow. I want this experience to flow. I don't want to force it, because I used to be one of those people that would force things, and I don't want to force it. I want it to flow. And this is what I'm thinking I want it to look like. And it's amazing the things that start happening. So we actually sold the house off market, and I spoke it into existence with someone I know that sells a lot of real estate in the neighborhood. And I told her, and I said, listen, if you had a buyer, we would be interested to talk about a deal with them. So if you have anyone that wants to see the house, let us know. That's all it took. Helpful people in your circle that you can reach out to, that you believe will help you achieve the thing that you want to achieve. And I knew that she could get it done. And I'm also a real estate agent as well, but I knew telling her was going to be the best form of getting this going. And so sure enough, she showed it a couple of times, but then had the buyer, and it just felt like this is flowing and this is going to work out perfectly. So we were on the hunt. Looking in really a 20-mile radius. We weren't really, we really loved one area, but the inventory was really low. So we were trying to make that happen, and it just wasn't happening. It felt like we were forcing it, and there was really nothing that was perfect for us either. And the whole process is so daunting because now real estate prices have gotten so high. Are you going to be able to move right into something? Does something need a huge remodel? Are you going to have to rent in the interim? There's all of these options. And so we actually were seriously considering this one house, and we were going back and forth. And finally we got to a point where we were like, this just doesn't feel right. We were really close. We were actually really close to the number we wanted to land on. We were really close to so many aspects of it. And we just were like, nope, this just doesn't feel right. So we said, hold up, we're going to take a breather. And in that instance, I saw the house that we are going to move to. And I didn't want to get excited about it, but we went, we loved it. It's a new area for us. It's, a place that we didn't really think that we were going to move. And so that's kind of exciting because it's a brand new community that we've, and my husband and I have both lived in a lot of areas of our area now in South Florida. And so this is a little different, a little outside the box, but it's something that we always wanted. But, that being said, it has flowed in so many ways. There always are roadblocks and different things that you have to, adjust. But I think we've arrived at a good point. But that being said, the whole moving process is so stressful, and there's so much to be done with it. So I am in the thick of that right now. I am in the thick of this process. And thankfully, I've moved kind of a lot. My husband and I have bought and sold a lot. I was counting it the other day. I think we've done almost 20 personal real estate deals. So we've done this quite a bit. We've moved across the country. So this is not new to us, but it is also, and I feel like I do, I say it's very stressful, but I also kind of thrive in this because you know me with the feng shui and the organization. I love to organize my stuff. It's very therapeutic to me. I feel like it balances my nervous system. So instead of just packing and throwing everything in a box, I am organizing it to a T before it gets to the new spot. And I do really enjoy that. I feel like that is part of my personality, that I really love the organization process, and to be able to take everything out and everything has its own spot is just incredible to me. You're probably thinking this lady is wacky, but I promise you try it out. The more organized you can get, the better you'll feel. So during the stressful time, I'm and I think this can apply, maybe you're not moving right now like I am, but it can apply to if you're changing jobs, or if your child is starting a new school, or you're making a move, you're doing something different mid-school year, or just anything. You're trying out a new gym, this newness and this uneasiness of making this decision, I'm giving myself more grace with the things that I'm not able to accomplish right now. And I'm having to manage my time because it feels like every spare second was actually used for the last couple months looking at real estate and trying to find a place to live. And now every spare second is preparing for this move. So, giving myself grace for the things that I normally would do around the house or just in my professional life or, any of these things, taking the easy road and allowing yourself to take that easy road and being completely okay with it and giving yourself grace. So, there's less home cooking right now. There's more Uber Eats. We're doing these convenience type choices that we typically would not do. And also asking for help, because I am not the best at delegating and asking for help. So I am taking a deep breath and figuring out how I need to accomplish what I need to accomplish and asking for assistance where I need it. And women, you need to do it. You need to ask for help. I know we don't want to. You don't want to. You need to do it. So ask for help where you can. And so I'm really working on that. I feel like in football terms, this is my Super Bowl. I am like going to a new house, being able to decorate, being able to organize, being able to set up a home in another place. Like, this is my Super Bowl, guys. And I am just so into it. So there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of, stress. It's good stress, but there's a lot of stress. And so finding ways to regulate my nervous system. I told my husband I was so jacked and excited that I could not sleep. I didn't sleep 3 nights in a row. And last night, finally, I slept well, and what a game changer. But throwing in, a massage here or there, or acupuncture, or more meditation. So in the downtime, taking 20 minutes and just meditating and relaxing my brain. So if you've ever gone through the whole, I'm sure you have, buying a new house, doing all the things that need to be done before closing, it's your mind just swirls. So I'm taking that time to just really, when I can, just breathe and meditate and work through it and get into this new place before the holidays. And I thought about actually the podcast I did last year about the invisible load. We talked about the invisible load of motherhood and how that's extra heightened during the holidays. And I feel like a lot of you reached out to me during that time because you were like, oh my God, the invisible load, that's what it is. Nobody sees it. Your partner doesn't even see it. They don't realize all the things that you are doing. And it's this invisible load of all the things coming up with the holidays. And so if you didn't listen to that episode, go back and listen to it. But this is a reminder, because we're coming up on that time. We're coming up on that crazy, crazy time, is to just take the moments. And if something doesn't align with you, like I mentioned, I think the excessive holiday decorating doesn't align with me, because to me, it feels like a lot of extra work and a lot of extra time that I don't feel like I have. And so being more intentional with what I do for the holidays in decorating, and I know the things that make an impact with my son and what he loves, and, doing I'm proud of people that say, you know what? Not doing the elf on the shelf, not doing it. You can't make me I'm not doing it, because now that's something that is a tradition that we have loved in our household. But I completely get the fact that you do not want to do the elf on the shelf. And I'm proud of you for establishing a boundary and saying no to doing that. Now, the things that I know that have made a difference and an impact in my son, he loves the Advent calendar. And I got this really cool one that's wood, and I put a little piece of candy in it every day. And, he really, really loves that. So those are the things I'm going to continue to do. So what are the things? And we go to see the Nutcracker every year. I'm so lucky that my little guy wants to still go. I already asked him, and he said he would go with me, wants to go and see the Nutcracker with me. And that makes my heart shine. So he's going to do it. And so finding those little things, you don't have to do all the things. Pick and choose a couple of things that really make an impact and really are special with your family, and forget all the rest of the hoopla. You don't have to do it. So just a little reminder just a little reminder to lessen that invisible load that especially us mothers carry, and especially we carry it during the holiday season. So anyway, so that's my recap of like what's going on in life. And thank you for listening. I just wanted to share those things with you guys. I think it's special. It's special for me to be able to share it with you. And I know a lot of people had reached out to me and said, "Oh my God, that was so cool. I love that you did the cheerleader alumni, and what was that like?" So I just kind of wanted to give you a little glimpse into that experience and just how special it was. So thank you guys for listening to this episode of The Cinnamon Effect. I do want to put out there, if you love the show and you've been listening a while, please give it a 5-star rating. Give me a review. I would love that. I would be so grateful. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning into this episode of The Cinnamon Effect. If you enjoyed our time together, don't forget to hit that follow button on your podcast app and sprinkle a little love by leaving us a 5-star rating and a quick review. Your support means the world to me. For even more goodness, check out the show notes where you'll find links to some of my favorite products. And don't forget to visit thecinnamoneffect.com to connect with me directly or to grab your TCE gratitude journal, your next step towards a more grateful life. I can't wait to spice things up with you again next time. Stay vibrant, stay inspired, and remember to add a little cinnamon to your life every day.